Lordy, lordy, lordy. Hey, y'all. Hey, hey, hey. She said, I figured you were busy with with production things. Girly, thank you so much. I really can't thank you guys enough for even being here with me on Wisdom Wednesday. Um, won't be before, as the pastor would say, won't be before you long. That usually ends up being a three series sermon. But this morning, as I was trying to determine what I would do for Wisdom Wednesday, it was brought to my attention about adversity. And so last night we talked about just reopening schools and what that's going to look like with the virus and like how are we going to move forward, and not in fear but in truly trying to be prepared, as well as knowing what all of our true um, options are. And so when I got off live last night, hey Miss Sheila, how are you doing? Thank you for coming in with me. I was really heavy. I don't know about you guys, but I left really heavy last night, and not in a way of worrying, but in a way of being more concerned. For instance, my child, oh, let me, so I intentionally put this shirt on today. My maiden name is Hardaway. So often I'm Hardaway. But you couldn't see it in the thingy. Anywho, neither here nor there. Oh, you know I said that. I guess because I'm proud. Yeah. So I left feeling kind of heavy, not just about my children, because truthfully, my child is a senior. He was in school last year at a charter school. That particular school started with no 11th grade teachers. I basically had to move my child at the beginning of his junior year to a new school, and that was hard. That was extremely hard for him. But the beauty of it was he got the opportunity to go back to his Kappa program, get back in band, get back in the section, and he was great. Well, now here we are, his senior year of high school, and we have to make a decision whether or not he's going to go virtually or stay home. And the truth is, his option, I'm sorry, or go to the physical building, his only true option is to stay home because I have my brother. So there's a blessing. I want to make sure I say it right. There's a in the face of adversity, there is opportunity and hidden blessings. And so I was thinking about that, and I'm going to share a story about adversity with him in last year in school and why I have to trust God with him this year in school. So when he started school last year, again, my son was in school an entire week, and we did not know they didn't have 11th grade teachers. He was in a charter school that was supposed to be a dual program where he would graduate with his high school diploma and an associate's degree. That was written in black and white. There was an assumption. There was never a maybe. It was stated that every child that entered in the year of 2017 would graduate with a diploma and an associate's degree. Now, me being the mom that I am, knowing the son that I have, I felt that if I got him to that place, that would be, I will have done my part. I don't think of releasing him into the world at 18 as, your daughter is a senior too. Wow. Into the world as an adult. I will still guide him through. I realize that, though the law says 18 is grown, 18 is not grown. Their mind isn't even fully mature enough to make some sound decisions. Even, hey, Madam K, even with my 24-year-old, there are still things that we have to walk through, talk through together. And that's okay. I'm grateful that I'm here. I'm able to do that with them. I wish I had that when I was growing up. And so I try not to make some of the mistakes that was made with me. I try not to be super firm, but I do try to help them think through some things, because I do feel like the generations truthfully below us, well, not necessarily below us, but a couple of generations or um, classes below us, somewhere critical thinking was taken out of the curriculum. And so they don't do a whole lot of that. And so I get it. So the first week of school, me being the mom that I am the mom that, thanks to my baby girl, who y'all heard last night, I learned a lot about education law and special education law. And I also salute my brother, because if it were not for him and my mother, if it were not for her, I wouldn't have understood the importance of knowing what my daughter deserved when she go to school, what it's supposed to look like, even though school is public, what the public school system is supposed to do with a child with different abilities. And so from the moment my child was diagnosed with autism at 22 months, I jumped on this. I had really one morning of grief where there was something heavy on my chest. And after that, it was like, get up. You don't have time to sit here and sit in this. You got to make sure that you know what you need to know, so that your baby can have the best life possible. And so I immediately started going to classes, started going to trainings, anything that was offered in Memphis, Tennessee, Shelby County, Nashville, surrounding areas, I was there. Any conference, I was there. Had an opportunity to go to disability at the Capitol in Washington, D.C., and speak to legislators about just how Tennessee is affected and how it wasn't growing. And there has been a great deal of growth since her diagnosis in 2013. In 2013, ABA was not covered by insurance, let alone 40 hours of ABA. In 2013, they weren't getting speech therapy in home health services like this year. So a lot came with that learning. And I'm not saying that I did it on my own. I'm just saying, thank you, Madam K. Thank you. I'm just saying that it took learning what I was supposed to have, what she was supposed to have, and what that model would look like. So in learning all that, it prepared me for my son. So when I picked him up one Friday, that was the first Friday of school. I could tell he was kind of down. He's like, Mom, this school not right, kind of telling me things that are going on. I'm like, well, hold up, wait now, talk to me. He was like, none of my credit's gonna transfer. I mean, he just had all this stuff. And I was like, wait, okay, let me deal with this. I'm gonna take you home and I'll come back. And I did. I took him home, went back to the school. The principal / CEO was there. Again, we're talking about a charter school. And before I could even get in, she was like, the first thing I wanted was his transcript and his last report card. Didn't want to talk about anything else until I saw his transcript and his last report card. I needed to know what was on, what was on them. And then she said, well, let me explain to you why we don't have teachers for the 11th grade, because we're going to have them on, they're going to take college English the first half of the year, and college English the second half of the year, which is beautiful. However, in the state of Tennessee, to graduate from high school, you must have English 3. So even though he was going to be taking a college level English course, that was considered English 4. And he was still going to have to eventually take English 3. So I knew what I had to do to get my son out. I was not about to have a cycle, because his dad, the exact same thing happened to his dad. His dad, I'll never forget, we were in high school. He was at graduation practice. I was in the ROTC room. To this day, I can remember exactly where I was. He came in. He had this look on his face that was just like the world had ended. And I was like, what's wrong? And he was like, they said I can't walk. I'm like, why not? He was like, they said I didn't pass the civics test. And not that he didn't pass civics class, he didn't pass the civics test. So he had to take it over again in summer school with quite a few others in his class, and they had to graduate in summer school. They weren't allowed to walk with their class. So I was very adamant that that was not going to happen to my child. And so got my baby moved. By the grace of God, he was able to get into his cohort that he was with in middle school, get back in band. Everything started to flow well, great. But I made a decision even that night that when the principal CEO was trying to tell me that your son is on track. No, he's not on track if he's not getting English 3 this year. No, he's not on track if he's not getting the math that he needs. He's not on track if he's not getting the science that he needs. He's not on track. And so she said, but he is, in a way, to hush me. And so I had to let it be known, I'm not just talking about my son. Every child in here is mine. Now answer the question so that we can have the right answers that's needed so these parents will know what we need. So this is the adversity part. The blessing is my son got the opportunity to get back with his middle school cohort, get back in the band, get on percussion, went in on snare. Though he is a percussion player, he plays stuff I don't even timpy, I don't even know what the but xylophone, just he plays it all. But it wasn't just my son. At that point, because parents had, now mind you, I am a special needs advocate for children, but I would say I'm just a child advocate. I'm not on anybody's payroll. I do this from my heart because I want our children to have the best. And when I say our children, I'm not just talking about Black children. I'm talking about any child that is trying to get an education and is struggling to get where they need to be. I'm talking about any situation where there are people misusing children. Example, there were children that were in a timpani. Yes, there were children that were supposed to be in a self-contained classroom who were on a college campus unsupervised. There's nothing okay about that. That means those children were placed in harm's way. So I did what I had to do, went to the board meeting, I spoke, and I asked, I said, we didn't find out until 7 whatever PM, the last day of open transfer. Will you please give the 11th graders, because at that time I didn't know everything else that was going on, the 11th graders, the opportunity to transfer out to schools that they would like to go to instead of them having to be forced to go to schools in their neighborhood. Mind you, my son didn't get in on that transfer. My son had to go meet the band director. My son had to go meet the principal. We had to go to the board and we had to like we went through all the steps. We went through the adversity parts, but the opportunity and the hidden blessing is other kids got the opportunity to just slide on in right behind him without having to take any of those steps. And some may say, well, how does that bless you? Well, that's the seed of tomorrow. Like they take over when we're gone. Hopefully they're taking over before we're gone so we can at least have some time to relax. Going forward, here's the hidden blessing. My son's best friend is killed in a car accident. This happens in October. Mind you, I just got my son moved at the end of August. He had been in school for 3 weeks without classes, without a teacher, anything. Got him to his new school. He was already, by this time, it was really going on his second month there. He had adjusted, met friends. The staff was aware of me because I'm that mom that comes in. I mean, I got myself to be a level 3 volunteer so I can help with the children, whatever, because that's me. I want to be there. I want to be a part of it. Well, my son's best friend passes, and I can't explain that hurt to you. All I can tell you is that his hurt became my hurt, and it was a hurt that I can't explain. And the next morning, now when my mother passed, let me back up. When my mother passed away, it was on a Sunday. My son got to see my mom. My mom got to tell him, you better obey your mom. I'm gonna do so she said. I'm gonna be on you like white on rice. When I came home, it was like 1 a.m. I woke both of my kids up. One had an exam the next day, and both of them, she took her exam. He went to school. He was fine. He even said in their prayer, and I didn't think about it right now, Lord, help us to see what we think as oh God, not a mistake, but however, to see it as a victory. And so because we pray in the car before going to school, but coming out of the mouth of a child to see it as a victory. So does he hurt and yearn for his grandmother? Yes, but he knew that she was strong, and what cancer was trying to do was not her. And so he got through that. But losing your best friend, that was a different kind of hurt. And I think back to with my mom, how did he get through? His best friends on the game, playing, able to take your mind away, not really focus on what's going on. I handled everything, so this was a little bit different for him. So when I got him, he went to school that morning, but I could tell he just wasn't himself. Like he didn't shower. His shirt was wrinkled, pants was wrinkled. I'm just sitting there not really knowing what to say, but praying. And then he goes in the building. I call the school and I speak to the counselor. Now, mind you, the counselor that he had at the previous school was amazing. She helped us get through everything we needed to get through with my mom, getting him situated for school. She was just absolutely amazing, a gift from God. Like she stepped in, was his mother, helped me. Because mind you, not only am I still doing hospital things with my mom before she passed, then after my mom trying to get my brother situated here. So she was like his mother. She stepped in for me, and I praise God for it. Well, the piece that I left out is they removed that counselor out of the building because they felt she was telling parents to move their children. But that wasn't the case. Parents were seeing the writing on the wall and they knew I need to move my children. So when his friend passed away, I was able to contact the counselor. Now, mind you, I'm crying by this time. He didn't see me cry, but he gets out the car and I'm boo-hooing because he's hurt. And the hurt is so deep that there's nothing I can do but pray and try to be available to him. So I tell the counselor what's going on, and she was like, okay, I'm going to check on him. I had already established relationship with the band directors. They were aware. We got him. So I get a call about 10 o'clock that morning. It's the counselor. She has him in the room, and she says he needs to go home. It hasn't been 24 hours, and he really needs to process this, but he told me he don't have time to go home. Now, mind you, the adversity was my son didn't have a class or no work for the first 3 weeks of school. So going to a new school in the middle of a semester before, like right before grades are due for progress report, you have a lot of work to catch up on. There is no excuse. Like you got to get something in. They can't not grade anything and not give you a grade. So there was some work that had to be caught up on. So my son literally said he didn't have time to go home and grieve. But she said, we're going to make time. He has to go home. So that was the blessing. He was in a position, in a place, though it took us some things to get there, though it took us going through some stuff and feeling like we were losing some stuff to get there. He was in a place where somebody was watching him. They could see that he needed time to process, and they could reach out to me and tell me to bring him home. Had he have been still been at the other place, there was no counselor in the building. Those college professors wouldn't know him. So they wouldn't understand how he's feeling or what he's going through. And that could have easily been stereotyped as something else. So that was the blessing in the adversity, even with him. So now here we are, senior year. Where's the blessing in that? Now I have to go to school virtually. I'm not going to the school. Well, the blessing is he made friends, but he wasn't at the new school long enough to even establish so much of a cohort for his senior class. So to say that you don't have that feeling that you would get, your senior year, senior class, y'all are doing all this. Well, a lot of them don't really know each other like that anyway. And his friends aren't friends necessarily from the school. He does have some, but not necessarily from his grades. So that was the blessing in adversity there. I could go on and on and on, but that was just one that I wanted to share with you. I'll end it with this one about my baby. My baby was born, the youngest baby was born at 35 weeks. We had to have an emergency C-section. She came out, she wasn't breathing. 8 days old, she had to have surgery. Her intestines were did not completely form, so she has malrotation where it's reverse. And so that meant like her pancreas is on the left side instead of the right side. So at 8 days old, they had to give my babe a last band surgery to keep her intestines locked in place and take her, not pancreas, what's the thing that we don't need? Appendix, I'm sorry. Take her appendix out. Well, while we're there, she's supposed to come back up to the room. God had given me peace with the fact that it was that she had to have surgery, but she didn't come back up because they couldn't take her off the ventilator. Now, my brother, who I have care of now, stayed in the hospital the first year of his life, and he was on a ventilator. So that was back in 1989. In 1989, the ventilators were like, I don't even know if like the size of a refrigerator. That's how big I remember it being. So when we walked in the room, it was hard for my husband. He had to turn around. He just couldn't. But I walked in the room and I'm looking like, where's the ventilator? And she was like, here it is right here. And I was like, that little box? And she was like, yeah. And I was like, oh. And she said, she asked me, like, I said, well, my brother was on one, but it was much bigger. And she was like, when? I was like, well, that was 1989, 1990. She was like, oh yeah, we've come so far from then. So the adversity, I had a brothers. Today is his birthday. He turned 31. My mother had twin boys on July 8th, 1989. My brother that's currently with me, 1 pound, 5 ounces. My brother that's gone on to heaven was 2 pounds even, and he lived 2 days. My brother had a life expectancy of 5 years old. He had a trach until he was 10, well, 12. He was on oxygen until he was 10. He still has like a hole in his throat where the trach can actually go through because it just didn't close up. But he's healthier than all of us. My mom's greatest worry was what will happen with him when I'm gone. So where does the adversity leads to hidden blessing and opportunity? Well, here where I had to deal with something as a child with my brother that was extremely hard. I get to celebrate him today, but not only do I get to celebrate him, I get to look at him and say, you know what, God, that was rough, that was hard, but it prepared me to be who I am today, to be able to take care of him and my daughter. It's because of him that I'm able to be the mother that I am to my daughter. It's because of him that I understand different abilities, different needs, that I've never been judgmental, and I've always tried to think of how to make others feel included. It's because of him that I learned those things. And so those things that I learned as a child benefit my daughter today. And for that, I am grateful. So the blessing, this little boy that started off as 1 pound, 5 ounces with a life expectancy of 5, turned 31 years old today. And because of him, so many lives have been blessed along the way. So it may look hard, it may look rough. It may be so foggy that we can't see in front of us. And I could go on with stories for days, but again, it's not for sympathy, it's not for empathy. It's just to kind of let you know that, again, when I smile, it's because I get to smile. And I get to smile because even though life has had its share of up and downs, I'm still here. But not only am I still here, my brother is still here. Like my mom it'll be 2.5 years. I mean, well, we're already at past the 2.5 year mark. It'll be 3 years in December. Her greatest worry was what's gonna happen with Ivy when I'm gone. Ivy's fine. Ivy's celebrating his 31st birthday today. Ivy is doing better with grieving than any of us are when it comes to my mom. So with that being said, he's the blessing in adversity that has led to additional blessings with my daughter, learning everything that I had to learn with her, and then taking what I learned with her to help my son and other children get out of a school that didn't have what they need. And not to mention, the school did get closed down. Though it started off rough, though there were some parents mad at me, though there were some parents that didn't understand why I was pushing so hard, the ultimate end goal was to make sure that every child in that building got to a school, got to a place that would give them what they need. So now, as we get ready to go into this reopening phase, as we talked about last night, and we're going to talk about again tomorrow, let's just remember that, as Mr. Seti Lowe says, and I gave him his claim on the front of the thumbnail, in the face of adversity, there is opportunity for I'm sorry, in the face of adversity is opportunity and hidden blessings. And that is no lie. We just have to look for them. So the thing is, how do you look at adversity? How do you see adversity? Um, that's not me saying go into it looking for trouble. That's just me saying be mindful of how you react, be mindful of what you say, be mindful of what you do, because all of it is going to affect the end goal. So yeah, I am going to drop the link as we still have a good 4 minutes if somebody wants to come up. I want you guys to know that I am still researching greatly about the reopening of schools and where we are and what's that going to look like, as well as virtual school, what that is going to look like. I stated last night, if anyone wanted to email me their state, their county, I would find the information for them as well. I don't mind. The key is just making sure that we're informed and that we know what everything looks like. And when you make that decision, you made a decision. The beauty about it is this is America, so you're not stuck. I don't care what the school system says in any decision, because you can remove any child from school and decide to homeschool them on your own. And that's something to remember as well. I didn't even ask y'all if y'all could hear me, but I'm sure y'all could. Other than that, hello, Risa. Let's see. Positive Mukbanger, thank you so much for being here. You and I must talk. Oh my goodness. Derek C. Williams came in. Adversity makes men, prosperity makes monsters. Victor Hugo. Late to the party, but greetings to Aisha, Memphis, watching you live on YouTube from Philadelphia. Stream shared. Thank you so much, Derek. I appreciate you. How did I not see you come in? I guess because I was giving 3 and 4 testimonies in one. Yeah. That having a senior this year is it's kind of real, because you want to do. And the other piece is like my oldest son is graduating Saturday, but it's outside in the sun. Only 4 people can come. We're a family of 7 plus, and I'm talking about just living in the house. So kind of sucks. And you want to give them all the support. But the beauty is he did it. He's coming out of high school, prepared to go to college. And we're all excited about this new life that he's about to embark upon. We'll tell you guys today, I did also drive by one of the testing stations, since we are talking, here in Memphis, and I have video of it. I don't know if I'm going to share it or not, but I do have video, and I bet you're looking for the keys. They're right there. My husband's looking for the keys because it's time to pick up Miss Desi. Thank you, the positive mukbanger. Be careful, babe. So yeah, the line was so long, and I'm just thinking, what are we doing? Like, what are we doing? And I'm talking, it was long. And I don't know. We can't live afraid. We can't live afraid. Like, that's not it. And we can't just be all in hysteria. So we got to figure out, what are we going to do? How are we going to proceed forward? What is the future going to look like for us? And not so much so that we miss out on right now. Oh, the other thing is, dang it, I need my phone. Yes. Guess what, y'all? If anybody want to try to call me right quick. Hold on. We officially have a phone number that is not going to change. I forgot all about that. Okay. So if anybody just want to call real quick so they can just be like, hey, we have a phone. I just don't even know how I feel about it. I think it's the coolest thing ever. It's okay if y'all don't call them, call myself. But it may not sound right. Did I put the right number? Yep. Yeah, so that's the official number. I really worked hard because I wanted it to be something like 888 love, 888 hope, 888 3 joy. But that didn't happen. So we're gonna roll with what we got. But I'm excited. I know that. So I'll make sure that when I do my live tomorrow that I put the number up and people can call in. Because I think a lot of times people have things to say and things that they want to talk about, but they don't want to actually dial in and talk about it. And which is fine because I get it. So again, let's just remember that in the face of adversity is opportunity and hidden blessings. It's okay, positive mukbanger. I'm just happy that you're here with me. And is everything okay? And I need to be sending some prayers. Well, I'm sending some prayers anyway. But yeah. Miss Sheila, thank you so much for being such a great support. I pray that all is well with your daughter as well as your granddaughter in their decisions regarding school. I'm going to try my best, y'all, to give you as much information as I can tomorrow. I may be bleeding from the arms with information, but I want you to have it. The positive mukbanger says, I'll call you. That's cool. That's cool. You can call. But yeah, so if there's nothing else, I just want to thank you guys for giving me your time today for Wisdom Wednesday. And I pray that you're walking away with just a little more strength, a little more courage to push forward. I could go with all the sayings that, the darkest hour is just before day. A storm cloud never sits too long over one house. The race isn't given to the swift, but to the one that can endure until the end. I'm trying to think. There's so many out here that I could give you. But the truth is, life is hard sometimes, and we're thrown some curveballs and stuff is put in our face. And it's like, what? Why? Like, really? Now? Right now? But we just have to know how to deal with it, look for the hidden blessing, look for the opportunity, and keep pushing. Sometimes we just have to know that the path that we're on may just be the path that God has us on. But what I do want to try to do, and don't get me wrong, because I'm one of those, I believe that you can express to God how you feel. I believe we can tell. She said, yes, we are. Tell me about it. I believe we can express to God how we feel. We can express to God our frustrations. But what I do not want to be is someone who blasphemes God. And I want to try my best to be like Job and have that spirit of the Lord God gives and the Lord God takes away. But blessed be the name of the Lord. And I think if I can just take on that approach and get rid of worry and anxiety and just keep my eyes focused on the mark of loving people in spite of, I can get there. And I believe the same for all of you. So with that being said, y'all have, yes, look for that hidden blessing. It's there. I promise you it's there. And I can only say I promise you it's there because I have endured some things in my life. But each time, if I was just patient and still enough, I could hear God. And sometimes it's not in the beginning. Sometimes she said, I'm going to call you for real, for real. Yeah, sometimes it's not in the beginning. Sometimes it's not in the middle. Sometimes it's 2 years after. But you'll see that with God, nothing is wasted. Nothing is wasted. And so I'm going to leave it there. I love you guys. Have an amazing day. Hey, Coach Wyatt, thank you for coming in. I appreciate you. You guys have an amazing day. I will see you tomorrow as we continue our discussion regarding the reopening of schools during this current pandemic. Do we really know what it's going to look like? Until then, lots of peace, love, joy, blessings your way. Have an amazing day. Bye.